Streaming. And as Eric would say, here we go.
They may not even miss him.
We don't even know. We haven't seen Eric in days. Can't be sure that he's even real now or ever was real.
I think he's been body snatched. He hasn't been himself lately.
Wish I knew how to like bitch a fit in German. They like. Have you seen the movie where Hitler that's been memed 100 times where he's bitching about something real bad and they'll put different subtitles on it?
Oh yeah. Well, he's giving his Nuremberg speech
Right,
or
so
whatever.
good,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. Randy was first, fucking blast from the past. How you been, Rain?
Wow, where's he been?
Hunter of the Dank. I don't know. I haven't seen Randy in a while. He's got shit going on, man. He's a big time fucking makes food for big people.
Big tycoon.
That's right.
He's outgrown us.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I've outgrown us.
Who shut our goddamn door? I ain't happy about that. I ain't happy about that in a long shot or something.
I don't like that at all.
Can I send a super chat? I can, but I don't want to. What is up, everybody? What's up, Keith?
Keith?
Rain, yeah. Hunter of the Dank. I also hunt the Dank. Nomad, how you doing? How you doing, Nomad, eh? This motherfucker right here, Nomad, eh? How's he doing?
Right here.
How's he doing, huh?
How you doing?
How's he doing, huh? Got Matt out there. Matt Tardif, he ain't saying shit, but I noticed you're there. Don't ask me how I know you're there, Matt, but I know you're there.
Is Luar there? It's his birthday.
Let me see. I don't see Luar yet.
He'll be there. I don't know. He's out celebrating probably.
Luar's a maniac.
Yep. It's his day.
What's up, Johnny? Missed the last couple streams. Glad to catch this one. Almost didn't happen today.
Yeah, no kidding. Still hasn't happened. We're short of memory.
Yeah, where is he? He was supposed to have been here. He said he was going to go to the bathroom. I bet he went outside to smoke.
Uh-huh.
Fucking smoker. Oh, shit. Hunter knows Keith.
Oh, yeah? How do they know each other?
I don't know, but he knows him because he's calling him King Keith, and that's a Keith thing. Dun, dun, dun.
Is that Keith, our sponsor?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Affiliated with any which way. Technically, Keith himself is not our sponsor. Just a good friend of the show. Donna says, happy birthday, Luar.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's Donna's boyfriend's birthday, too. She put on Facebook.
Did she? That's
I
cool.
think so, yeah. I'll bet he's going to get a great dinner tonight. She's a good cook, I bet.
Eric probably is dropping a deuce. Hashtag team member for sure.
Yeah, that could be it. Yep.
I'm going to text him. Live on the air.
Could
I'm
be
going to give out his phone number.
I'll bet he's defecating.
618-465-4545. It's really weird. Where's he at here? He's going to be pissed about that. We are live. Just saying. Oh shit, Eric's there. He's in the chat somehow. He's not in the. He's not in
the room.
He's in the chat.
Studio. Where the hell is that boy?
I don't know. He's here, I guess, sort of. Oh, far out. Okay, I got you. We're going to start off with Long Island's. What the hell are you talking about, Don? Oh, Long Island iced teas.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Those are pretty good.
What's in that? Like every conceivable liquor, right?
It's there's no real recipe. You just take whatever you've got and pour it in a trash
Yeah,
can.
but they're supposed to be clear liquors, I guess.
There's clear. There's browns.
No amber Bock or any of that stuff.
I don't know.
Gin. They put gin. Ugh, I don't like gin. Ugh.
I like.
They put
really. Hey,
vodka,
Eric.
right? Wow.
I've never made one. I just like the way they taste. Welcome.
You're flame retardant.
Flame retarded.
No, tardy. But you are wearing the proper attire.
Tell me what you gonna
Pure
do.
ratios. I want one of those shirts, damn it. They're all extra large, huh?
There's only two, but yes, they were extra large.
You get free gummies while you're working? Just asking, like the good kind?
Nope.
Not you. Of course you don't. We don't give you nothing.
I don't know.
Plug me in.
Yeah. Anybody tell me why? Yeah.
So
Somebody gonna tell me why?
I don't know. Is evolution a cult or a conspiracy? What is that?
It's a paranormal.
You think?
We already talked about this, but yes.
Evolution is completely paranormal.
Hey, there's another tweet to write to us. Loving all the episodes you guys are doing lately, and I also really like the split between the social and regular.
I think that was a good idea by Armand.
I think so too.
I wish I'd had it. But I'll be
What do you
glad to
wish you
take
had,
credit.
Armand?
That idea. That wasn't my idea.
Armand. Armand's smoking pot in the studio.
He's ripping bongs.
No,
We've told him not to multiple times.
doodling.
When he comes in here and gets fired, it's not going to be our fault.
I'm going to pass my drug test. Pristine.
Is that right?
Here's one for you, Armand.
Not if I've
Hey,
been
nope.
spiking. your
How
Kool-Aid.
upset would you be if we gave you a CBD pen, but it was actually a THC pen, and you just chiefing the shit out of it, got real ripped on accident, but we dosed you knowingly?
I don't know. I think I'd forgive you.
You probably would. I would think you shouldn't be happy with us. I would not be happy.
I've
with
been having a few puffs of that CBD for my shoulder. It seems to be helping.
I'm digging it. Jordan's stoked for this episode.
That and I take that and then anti-inflammatory and then actually drink a little coffee because caffeine's a pain, anti-pain.
Is that right?
And yeah, it's
I quit doing
antalgic.
I quit doing Mountain Dew for like a week and a half and had fucking headaches bad.
Well, that's from
Withdrawal,
caffeine.
yeah. It's
Withdrawal, yeah,
terrible.
of course, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the only thing you can do at
happens.
that point is just shoot it up. Like,
Right.
What I like to do is take some Mountain Dew and boil it, like boil a few 2 liters down to like
Mountain
a teaspoon
Dew.
or two,
Yeah.
and then you get that really good syrup, and you can just shoot that up.
Do you inhale that? Do you like put in a crystal meth spoon?
No, man, you have a
Set a little
you have
flame
your
under
own
it?
Dew spoon. Yeah, it's a flame. There's a flame thing. What's up, Abe? Welcome to the show. Armand should take a dab.
Fuck no, he'd be toast, dude.
Yeah,
He'd be talking in tongues.
I'd be
He'd
useless.
be fucking.
yeah.
No, you'd have to go to the hospital if you took a dab.
I doubt
I'd
that.
I'd have to go to
promise
the
you.
I'd have to go to
I doubt it.
delicatessens.
I'll put
where I'd have
any.
to go.
How
Yeah,
much
no
money?
shit.
How much money?
I'd eat like a
You think it'd be
pig.
too
man.
high?
If he ripped a fucking good rip off of a dab, he'd have to go to the hospital.
No way.
I'd pass out. I'm
No, you
pretty
wouldn't.
sure.
You'd go
I'd
to the
eat
hospital.
something and pass out.
No way. Armand isn't a pussy, man. Okay.
True enough.
Armand,
Hey.
what's it take
Can't
to
deny
get you-
that.
How much alcohol does it take to get you drunk as shit? And I mean drunk as shit, where you throw up.
Oh, 6-pack maybe.
A 6-pack, a beer.
Yeah,
You throw up?
Everett,
probably.
he going to the fucking hospital if he
Probably
takes a
going to the
dab.
hospital. He's probably going to the hospital.
Telling
That
you.
threw me off. Hey, last chance to throw on your
Lightweight.
voicemails and stuff. Anybody's got any good voicemails for us? Send them in today. SurrealTalkPodcast.com.
/
Emails are encouraged. We'll even do call-ins if you want to call in.
Hey, listen. How long are we gonna be here? This is a holiday.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Armand.
8-hour show.
8
tomorrow.
hours.
All right, well,
No,
there's-
we're starting a little
I
early
don't want to
today.
miss my fireworks.
You don't stay the whole time,
We'll
you don't
give
get
it
your cut.
2.5 more minutes and we'll start the show. Hey, will you go get a card from Brian? Hey, will you go get a card from Brian? Just tell Brian, say, Brian, give us the fucking card or else.
And do it now.
Or I'll
say.
kill you.
Are we gonna? Can I use your prime or what?
Yeah, we'll do that after the show. No problem.
We could do that on the pre-show of the social show.
Good. Wait a minute, there's no pre-show this time.
No, yeah, we don't have to do the social show. Or we can do the social show.
We're doing a social show, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Hello, Brian. Hello. I'll take that. Oh, you're going to take care of this for me, aren't you? You're going to make sure that nothing happens, aren't you?
Brian, will you press record too so he doesn't fucking forget it?
This is highly unfair. Highly unfair.
The man doesn't know how to
Yeah,
press record.
It's in there.
Is
Damn it.
Is it recording?
It's recording. Keith, I got yours.
Rum fellow.
Who's
We
he?
got some from Keith. We got some from Dave. We got some from Ted.
Ted
What do we have?
Turner?
No, Ted Theodore Logan.
What do we have?
Just a couple voicemails
Oh,
today.
that's smell. Okay, good.
Oh, I'm on my desk. Yep. Cool. It's just sitting in there. Bye, bye. All right. Another minute and 20 seconds, and we'll start the show. Mike, did you guys get your printouts?
Yes.
No.
I'm studying it carefully. Not learning anything. I already knew all this. Ah, well, that's interesting.
What are you wearing right now?
Oh, God. My large Jewish body needs some loving.
I'm really about 33, but let's just say I'm 17.
No, I'm clean shaven like a 13-year-old boy at his bat mitzvah.
I don't understand these illusions. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I guess I'd start by licking you up and down, you know? How'd my Armand turn into a fucking Stallone? I'll have
that
no
sounds
idea.
like my approach. Yeah.
Hey, you know, Armand.
Ventura Boulevard,
I'm Armand, you know.
Ventura Highway.
My voice is not that deep.
I'm out here in L.A., you know. We're just doing what I do in L.A.
Yeah.
Doing foot things. Fuck, man. Come on.
I have not listened to those yet, Keith.
Throw
I
that
saw them
fucking
for
thing
you.
away.
I saw they were from you, and I was like, "Fuck it, they're probably going to be gold." So I'll leave them for a live listen. I like to have that real reaction. You know what I mean?
Is that right?
He was asking if I listened to his voicemails yet.
Wait, no, not his. We listen to some voicemails sometimes.
Sometimes.
But not all the time.
All right, well,
Let's do it, man.
you guys ready? Here you go.
Yes.
You're listening to Surreal Talk, a look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal.
Something's not right, man. Something's not right. Something's bullshit here, and I don't believe it.
Honestly, this crazy shit could be completely possible.
Disclaimer, we reserve the right to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I'll do the intro in it, okay? You think you know the whole story? Just for you. Think again.
Now your hosts, Eric and Everett.
Hey, welcome to Surreal Talk. You know, look inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal. I'm Armand, and we're here today with the Hicks brothers.
I don't sound like that.
I think
Hey, it's in my voice,
Stallone.
Armand. Is this my impression or yours?
I
You
think
know?
he was talking about your English accent.
Oh, mate, I didn't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you fucked that all up.
Oh,
I could be wrong. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to
sound
Surreal
like
Talk.
me.
We've got Armand, as always, with his sidekicks, Eric and Everett.
yeah, right.
Jump right into last week. Doomsday. We were doing the day after Doomsday, talking about what our plans would be if we were the last men on Earth, so to
Yes,
speak.
yes.
Armand, you pooped all over it.
I
Shit on it.
I
You did.
expired.
Yeah, man. We nearly had to hire an assassin for you after that. But you're here again this week, and
I would have starved.
yeah, you'd die. You'd be dead if it came down to it. I think I would live. I think I could live to pretty much an old age, as long as the dentist need isn't there.
I don't think so,
That's my
Tim.
biggest
I'm
deal.
not aware of your survival history. Where's your
He
training
thinks he
come
can-
from?
He thinks he's a survivalist.
Really?
Yes.
This
Boys.
guy?
He has a Boy Scout knife. He has a Swiss Army knife, and that's all he needs.
That's all I need.
Yeah, right.
You guys think you could do any better than me surviving?
I don't know. One feral rabbit would probably kill him.
Well, feral rabbit, huh? I didn't know
Feral.
rabbits got feral.
Feral.
Armand, you
Feral
can
just
even-
means non-indigenous. So
No, feral means wild. F-E-R-A-L.
Yeah, feral is wild for
Wild, yeah.
sure. Armand, didn't you say you could
Undomesticated.
you can even like rig up one of
I
those
think it was-
slings, like the things that
Yeah,
they.
but I wouldn't hit anything.
I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Or maybe it's like a slip knot just for a rabbit to run through and fucking. You could catch food. I'm telling you. I know if you got hungry enough, you'd catch a fucking something to eat.
I'd probably just eat tree bark or something.
Anyway.
Something poisonous.
I wanted to talk about what we're going to do for the next few weeks. So next week there will not be a show on Wednesday. Whether we do one on Tuesday or Thursday, I'm not sure. But the plan next week there will be no Wednesday show.
Why is that?
it's a holiday.
Today is a holiday.
It's a different holiday. It's a
Of
different.
course.
It's a different religion.
Let's see. It's not Bastille Day.
That's the 14th.
14th, correct.
All right.
Anyway, so no show next week. The week after that, we're going to do the highly requested fucking missing people in parks.
Yeah, man. People have been asking about that for a long time. Apparently, Armand, he's got this real curious look on his face right now.
There's a
People
you
are
go to a park, you
disappearing.
come up missing. That's what happens.
People are disappearing in national parks in droves.
Well, you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Sell the land and
Aliens.
privatize the land and nobody will disappear.
Privatize the parks.
Yeah, get rid of them.
Why would that make nobody disappear? So,
Because nobody go. They'd be private property and stay the hell out of them.
what would you do with them then? Just
Well, they wouldn't be. We
Let
wouldn't have
people
to talk
develop
about,
them.
We wouldn't have to talk about.
drill for oil. That's what you should be
you
doing.
want to drill for oil in Yosemite?
Hell yeah. They can have it.
We wouldn't be talking
you ever
about
been to
people
Yosemite?
with missing.
Yes, I lived in
parks.
California. Of course.
So why would you want to fuck that place up?
It's not. Well, there's nothing going on there. You've seen El Capitan once. You've
No.
seen it a million
What
times.
about Half Dome?
There's no super
So
volcano.
what?
None of that shit's going on.
Sell it.
Okay, what about Mariposa then?
Do you
and all
think the federal
trees?
government should own 50% of the land west of the Mississippi? What do
don't
we
see
do
why
with
they
that?
wouldn't.
Why?
I mean,
Sell it and pay off the debt.
sell it to whom?
China.
Whoever wants to
Sell it
buy
to
it.
China.
Whoever wants to buy it.
All right. Well, we're getting off topic here, but
Monsanto.
next week or week after, rather, we'll be talking about the missing parks stuff.
I didn't know it was such a rash of.
I didn't either until it was,
Disappearances.
yeah, I didn't either. But apparently, you go to a fucking national
God, man,
park.
watch a YouTube video.
Yeah,
Fuck.
you're going missing, dude. That's period. That's it.
Good thing I stay the hell out of them. I'd rather go to Vegas anyway.
YouTube star, not on. doesn't
Nobody
watch
disappears
YouTube.
from casinos.
I don't know about that.
all the time.
Yes, I don't know about that, man. There's so many holes in the desert.
Only debtors. Yeah. Well, they deserved it.
But yeah, so next week, no show. The week after that, which is the 17th of July, we'll be missing people in parks.
All right.
Yeah.
That's like a plan.
I feel like we'll find a few.
How about the 24th?
Come on, man. It's like
We have
distant
fingers
It says
far
the
future.
ahead.
next several weeks. I mean,
Yeah, the next 2 weeks.
You said few weeks, not several.
few weeks. Okay.
All right, Everett. When I say evolution, what do you think? I mean, explain it real quick, real easy, real simple.
Sure, you want to ask me? I think I should
wanna
ask you. Let me
We'll
ask you.
All right,
Eric, whenever I say evolution, what is the first things to come to your mind?
fish gets out of water and now he walks like a lizard.
Human fish, mermaids,
Mermaids.
Oh, like those things that
like a
goes.
splash.
How about those things they put on their cars? You see them with Darwin. You know, it's got the little fish. With
True,
the,
the fish,
with
it
the
looks like a
fi-
turtle.
Yeah, but it's got legs.
No, I just
Darwin.
think species evolving, getting better, actually getting more suited to their surroundings. Through natural selection.
Oh,
Fair enough.
who coined that term?
Everett will know.
Charles Darwin.
There it is.
No, that's incorrect.
Well, hold on, let me check my other notes because it was either him.
Spencer.
Oh yeah,
I don't care what your notes
Spencer.
say. Herbert Spencer.
Hold on. It wasn't Alfred Russell Wallace.
No, he's the one that came up with the Wallace line.
Yes, true.
What's the Wallace
Herbert
line, Armand?
Spencer. I'm telling you.
Well, tell us what you know about Herbert.
He's a great conservative. You should read everything he's ever written. He's
Trumper?
very good.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
He's been dead a while, but I guess he would have been.
He would have been.
Yeah, but he was actually a very brilliant man. I've got the complete works. You can probably buy them on Kindle for like 99 cents. Well
Really?
worth it. But Herbert Spencer coined
If you're
that
into
term,
that,
natural selection. Or actually, it was,
I mean, it says you.
and then the survival of the fittest, which is not exactly what natural selection is.
No.
No,
What
absolutely
is
not.
it then? Let's hear it.
Well, it's actually survival of whoever reproduces. That's reproductive fittest.
See, I have a nice little
Yeah, but wouldn't
alternate to this.
Okay.
So instead of saying natural selection, it should be more like selective pressure. For example, the dryness of a desert will pressure all species to have a greater resistance to dehydration, while the less adapted ones will die and be lost to history.
Correct. I'll buy that.
Does that make good sense
Yeah,
to you? I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
so to say natural selection is one thing, but it's kind of a forcing of your environment. If you can't,
Well,
if you
but
can't-
it's whoever reproduces. That's all. I mean, for instance, you can take let's say you take two rams, and they're very strong. You've got a weak ram, and the two strong rams fight over the female, I guess would be a sheep, and beat the crap out of each other and kill each other or render each other useless or unable to procreate. The weak lamb or the weak ram
See,
gets the lamb.
That's a very literal version of the term strong, but it's not wrong. It's most adapted, most well equipped.
Well,
say this
whoever
It
procreates.
doesn't have to be strong, right?
That's whoever gets laid.
Yeah, but wouldn't survival of the fittest still fall into that? Because
Not
you got to fight.
necessarily.
You have to fight over. I mean, in most species, you have to fight for like you just said.
But
the
how do you
ram for the
define
female.
fittest? It doesn't necessarily mean strongest. If your seed is,
Or
you're
smartest
going to be
or whatever,
smartest
yeah.
and impotent. Well,
Exactly what I was trying to say. Strong is kind of a misnomer because
Yeah.
it's more like the most fit. Exactly, the fittest for their environment. So I think fit is a good
Yep.
word rather than strongest.
Okay, I'm with it.
Okay,
I
I'm
believe.
with
Okay, no objection here.
is that
man.
what you think? Is that the question, though? You were asking what you think
no
of?
question. We're just discussing, man.
I mean,
what do you think
Do
of?
people think of that stupid thing you put on Facebook with my face at the bottom of the
Actually,
chain?
yeah, people do.
Yeah, they may be. Yeah, they may be thinking that now.
What about Howard the Duck?
Although I don't think
Never
humans
mind.
actually evolved from that.
Wait,
you know,
Right there. Let's drop right into that.
Well, because in that, I was a knuckle walker while you two were upright, as I recall, in that depiction.
Yeah, you were even.
You're a lot older than us, though, Armand. That's what. That's
But
what the deal is.
humans probably never were knuckle walkers. Actually, that's a totally different. There's a difference between a hominid, which is, let's see, how's this go? A hominid is just any primate, right?
Sure.
Down the chain, and then a hominin is something from which man descended.
Yeah.
And not necessarily. I mean, the big breakoff was bipedalism. That's why we have the smaller pelvis. A lot of the adaptations that men have made or humans have made over I guess about 150,000 years, if you believe this,
You
is
don't?
because we walk upright.
You don't believe
on
in
2 feet.
evolution?
I'm
asking you. No, I'm asking you.
qualifying.
Do you believe in evolution?
Yes, of course I
Armand?
do.
I agree with you, but there's a lot of fucking holes in it.
Sure, but there's a lot of holes in everything, except global warming. That's been
there's
proven
tons of holes in
beyond a doubt.
Global warming is not happening.
No.
I mean, we've got to the bottom of that.
I don't believe that. I believe
Everybody
it is.
agrees with Armand.
You knew I'd bring that one up.
It's getting hotter.
Of course, it's a meme at this point.
It's a meme.
It's mimetic.
Have you ever been to Iceland?
Emetic.
Ever been to Iceland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I.
All right, so what?
Nothing.
Where's
I
that
was
come from?
Just wondering, man. God.
Have you ever heard of Jean-Baptiste Lamarck?
Lamarck, yeah, Lamarckianism, yeah, the famous giraffe. You bring up. I didn't even read this. You had to bring up the giraffe necks,
Correct,
right?
the giraffe necks.
Which is
So Lamarck
Yeah.
believed that evolution happened from changes that happen over an animal's life. He felt that you could change environmental changes. So like for the giraffe example, a giraffe needs to get leaves up in a tree, so their entire life they stretch their neck and it gets a little bit longer over time.
and they passes that on to
Their offspring somehow will get that,
Which-
and then the next generation they'd stretch. And as time went on, that's how the giraffe was formed.
which may not actually be wrong now, because I don't know if you're talking about on here the epigenetics.
No, I didn't.
we
touch
get
that.
there.
Epigenetics is a very interesting field, and it's almost bringing back Lamarckianism.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where if you do, I mean, some of these are non-inheritable traits.
So
they're
let me-
not actual changes in DNA.
Let me ask you this. So, like, if you go to the gym every day from the time you're 5 years old until you're 30, and you
I think you can pass that on to your kids.
think you can pass
Absolutely,
just
I
a
think
good
so.
muscle structure?
How?
Now, hang on.
Because okay,
What if your kid does it?
Yeah.
Also,
right.
his kid, let's say 10 generations down. Do you think
Right.
that child is more predisposed to have better muscular tone, shape, fitness?
I think so, because I mean they did the other thing, the other end of that is the Irish potato famine. Several generations over and over were, even after they were being well nourished, the kids were they were calorically, they were smaller. And that was over several generations. They've proven this, that these malnourished people somehow push that on in their gene without, it's not there's no allele
Right.
for being malnourished.
Just because you're starved and exactly
Yeah,
like
but
maybe
they've-
you get bowed legs because you don't have calcium.
there
but you
are
can't
changes.
pass along that.
Yeah, not
I was
by
under
DNA.
the impression,
no.
that's what I'm saying. I was under the impression that the inherited traits like that were passed along
So
only
what's the
through
mechanism?
DNA.
The mechanism is DNA is coiled around in a nucleosome. It's been a while since college here. I was a genetics major. The chromatin is actually the DNA is coiled around a histone, which is a large protein. Okay, this histone, there are DNA tails, etc. And what they're finding is that these become methylated or acetylated, which is just a modification of the DNA, the histone tails, etc. And not the DNA per se, because three
Those trimeres or something like that.
yeah, well, three nucleotides is there's only 4 nucleotides, right? Thymine. Oh, come on.
Duh, Armand, you should know this.
Guanidine, cytosine, guanidine, uracil, or that's uracil. I think is in plants.
Ginseng, ginkgo
No, it's
biloba,
ACTTA.
taurine.
Adenine, and
Adenine.
and
Of course, adenine.
tyrosine. I'm not sure what they are, but anyway, they code. 3 of them code for a protein. Okay. So anyway, none of this stuff affects any of that stuff.
No.
And it's the histones are actually affected, which is like it's like almost like a little the skein that a yarn is around.
Sure.
That's what it's. That's apparently affected, and that can be passed on, and it actually changes.
And it be changed by environmental
Yes, it can be
exposure.
changed by the environment. Correct.
So-
Absolutely, and that is passed on to the offspring, and it does have something to do with the actual usage or the environment or like I said,
That's
with the
way different
famine.
than anything we've ever been taught to believe.
Right.
Believe
so-
me, I was taught that. I mean, I remember we used to make a joke about Lamarckianism. We thought, boy, that guy's a crackpot.
Where have you read about the recent advances in this field of research? Like, do you
Anywhere.
recall
I read a couple
picked
books
up
on
articles
epigenetics. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Just look up.
Epigenetics. I'm gonna have to look into
Yeah,
that.
EPIGENETICS. Epigenetics. Yep.
I can spell Armand. Epigenetics.
Yes. Well, it's an interesting field because believe me, 35 years ago when I was taking this stuff in college, nobody, like I said, it was a joke. Lamarck was absolutely wrong. Everything's passed on from the DNA,
So we had a couple good questions here
Okay.
that we were talking about. Like, so, what do you mean by evolution? We already said, but what is macroevolution? I'm sorry, what is macroevolution?
I would assume that's what major changes in
Right,
in
looking
the
at
species.
evolution over the entirety of
Yeah.
special trees, you know what I mean, rather than just at an individual special level.
as opposed to like
Instead
a
of
micro.
looking at one beetle, you look at all the beetles and
Oh,
see how
okay.
it goes. Like,
All right.
And a lot of people get that, this is the theory of evolution. They get that mixed up because theories, it's just a theory. So like they don't use it in the scientific
So
context.
a lot of assholes say that
Yeah.
it's just a theory. It's just a theory. I don't think they understand what a theory is.
Everything in science is just a theory, technically.
Well, theories don't just come up out of nowhere. They come from people having a hypothesis, which is what I think people have a problem with, a hunch.
Yeah, a hunch.
You know what I mean? I have an educated guess. I'm going to make a hypothesis out of it. Then what do you do to that hypothesis? You test that some bitch till the cows come home.
Yeah, a
And
bunch.
as soon as you can get a collection of results that point the same way, there's your theory.
You have your buddies test it too.
That's how you get
Well,
know,
that's-
scientific peer review.
But that's, of course, assuming that your theory is testable, falsifiable, and reproducible. That's what Karl Popper, if you read, scientific philosopher.
Won't do it.
Well, you should. Anyway, but that global warming fails on every level of that, by the way. But this
Nice-
at least,
nice slide in there.
but bastard. I wouldn't say bacteria. Of course they evolved because that's how you get a super infection, because certain species or certain more hardier.
So that's
strains,
interesting too. You could say like that's
They
a
survive.
really great argument. Well, think about it Lamarckian way. Those bacteria are exposed to antibiotics or antibodies that we use to kill them. Some of them survive and pass. Well, I guess
But that's from mutation. That's
true.
basically what that's
because
from.
they already had their
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, never
But
mind.
I would posit though that it sounds like the more I read on epigenetics, the more it's Lamarckian. Really, it really is. There
I
are
like
certain
that word.
things, that I don't know. I don't know. They always say there's not a gene for playing the piano, but why was Mozart? I mean, Mozart's father was a hell of a composer himself. Was it completely the environment? I don't know. It's passed. There's certain traits that are passed down, and they're not, inheritable. Technically, Mendelian genetics.
Give me one example.
Well, that one. And I think intellect also. I think intelligence too.
Is
And I know a lot of
non-genetically-
people. Yeah, I think there's a non-genetic component to it.
See, I think there is a genetic component to it, but I think intellect can be unlocked by someone with the will.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's.
It's the same thing with anything else. You can be predisposed to being a muscular person, like you guys were saying earlier with the gym example. I don't think 10 generations of people going to a gym is going to produce a kid that's more
That's what I'm
physically
asking.
predisposed.
Well, I wouldn't. I'm changing my mind on that.
See,
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't
but-
think so, but I don't know.
I have no idea if it will. I won't live 10 generations to be able to know that. You know
Well,
what I mean?
but the side effect of the same argument is look how all dogs these days were created by
Equal.
select breeding.
Well, that's not natural selection. That's artificial selection.
Fair enough. That's
But
fair.
that's forced evolution, though, right? I mean, we
But
forced
he's
them
right.
to
It's
evolve.
different than just going to the gym and exposing yourself to an environmental. This is a purposeful seeing two sets of genetics that can mix to make a better set of genetics. So I don't know. I was off.
Well, the thing about dogs is, obviously the purer bred they are, obviously the more problems they have. Beside, they may win the Westminster Kennel Club thing, or they can jump through a hoop or whatever the hell they have them do, and they have a nice haircut, but they have a lot of problems.
That's
like
one of
their
those
knees
beauty
are
of skin
bad.
deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
they have a lot of like orthopedic problems, etc. Because basically inbreeding.
All their joints are fucked.
Right, because that's why you're not supposed to have sex with your sister or whatever, or your brother. Well, I guess you can have with your brother. Who cares?
We never have.
You're not
just for the
procreating.
record.
I'll pass.
Just for the record.
I don't know. You guys are awful cute.
Well, that
That would be on you, though, not us.
Oh,
like,
that's
why
right.
would you
so I
think
can
we're
breed with
cute?
both of you.
So
That'd be great.
Lord.
1850 comes around. Charles Darwin
Are you
publishes.
sure on that date? Was it 1850? I thought it was 1853.
Well, let's double check. Pretty sure.
He made it up.
Maybe when that was when it was published.
He fucking made
Origin
it
of
up
the
for sure.
Species,
Yeah, I'm looking
1850.
right
Yeah, he said he made it up.
Huh. Well, this here's got it 1859.
Oh, that's right. That's correct. 1850. Damn it! I should have known.
Fucking
that.
interwebs,
I
man,
knew
and
it was-
articles. You can't read the first article every time and just write it down like it's
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
right.
fact.
Now, I'm
So
not sure that's.
1859. Either which way,
Yeah, I'm not sure that's maybe when he took his voyage on the Beagle.
he was much younger when he took his first voyage on
The
the Beagle.
1830s, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was the naturalist on board. At
Right.
that.
Fitzroy was the captain.
Right. So back in those days, naturalist is what we kind of think of as a biologist these days, but it wasn't such a, it wasn't a science, so to speak, as
Not
we
really.
think of it these days. It was a lot of observation, but it wasn't so much
More documentation back then, probably.
more
He
documentation.
had a
I'd say.
hell of a. Yeah, he almost turned back too. Apparently, he got so seasick at the beginning.
Darwin
He
did.
didn't have his sea legs.
How could he
yeah.
make the whole ship turn back?
No, he almost said, "Take me back or drop me off." And
Put you
screw you.
overboard. Yeah.
You're going, brother.
So on his voyages on the Beagle, they visit the Galapagos. He was on a 5-year trek his first
Yeah.
time out.
Ugh.
5 fucking years. Can you imagine
Yummy.
that? Signing on to that, get on a
No,
boat.
dude, fuck that. A boat for 5 years? Go
Like
fuck
Star
yourself.
Trek.
Go fuck yourself. I'm
Just
not
like
doing
Star
that.
Trek.
I'm not fucking
Yeah,
doing that.
5-year mission.
I mean,
Civilizations.
It's not happening.
why not?
Would you go on a boat for 5 years?
Think about it, Eric. You don't have a say you're a 25-year-old person, done with everything your town's got to do. There's a chance you go out on a boat. You don't have any family. Your family's dead.
Yeah, okay, and?
It's either work in a factory or go on a 5-year adventure.
Yeah, go work in a
Take the
factory.
factory.
Fuck the adventure.
I would.
What if your fucking boat sinks 1,000 miles away from any shore ever?
That's a bummer, man. But what if your factory explodes?
There weren't shipping lanes back then.
Sure, there were.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't.
1830s. I mean, that's.
Shipulines have existed for hundreds and hundreds of years.
I wouldn't be
What I'm
so worried
getting
about
at
the
is there weren't-
safety.
They weren't well
especially in the
monitored.
Americas.
I would. I don't want to
worry
fucking die.
I
I
don't
think
think
we're
it's,
worried about pirates.
Yeah, well, not that. I just 5 years of just tedium. I mean, who wants to sail for 5?
I don't
Oh,
know.
the
man.
work is
Even
what
if you were
gets
assured you'd come home, I wouldn't go.
So while on one
Anyway.
of his voyages on the Beagles, they come across the Galapagos Islands, and
Right.
that's where he begins to formulate this theory, not just of evolution, but let's take the examples of the finches
The
he
finches,
found
yeah,
on
their
several
beaks.
different islands,
I
right?
think some of them cracking nuts with their beaks.
Exactly right. Armand's got it nailed. So, of seemingly
I've
the
read the
same
book.
species of finch found on different islands had variations in beak brought about by the differing types of foods that were available. So, on some islands, there was a lot of hard nuts, and these finches had rather large beaks built for crushing nuts and getting inside the little shit.
What I wonder is after how long though, because eventually, so at the beginning, those finches were what, the same type of finch, right? Or wrong? Am I right here? Or wrong?
I would
here?
say they'd have a common ancestor.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what the whole point is.
So
yeah.
how
right.
long did it take for the fucking big beak finch?
Probably
to be
not
the
very
big beak
long. You
You wouldn't
finch?
think it would take too many generations.
Because the ones that can't crack the nuts probably starved, and the ones
or
that
moved
could,
on to a different island.
or migrated. Yeah.
So there was some of the same finches that had the very small kind of pointy beaks that were more for insects, bugs, spiders, and shit
Right.
like that. Some of them that were good for fruits that were found on some of the islands. Point being is, he started to see these differences. Same thing with the turtles that were on the island. Everybody knows about the giant Galapagos tortoises.
Tortoise, yeah.
So he found that some
Some
of
of those might still be alive. Actually, I don't know if they get
his
that old.
his
Close.
died like 150 years after he did. He had a
Yeah,
giant
yeah.
Galapagos
Some
turtle
of them
that lived
hung around a long time.
like 120 years past
Yeah.
him, but still, long fucking time. Point of my story is here that he started seeing differences in these turtles. Ones on one island had a completely dome-shaped shell all the way around, pretty normal.
Uniform, yeah.
But on another one of the islands, he found some of the turtles had more or less giant, like openings in the front of their shells where their heads would be, so they can raise their heads up much higher to get the food that was up higher on that island.
Oh, no shit.
So he was seeing, again, the natural selection taking
Sounds
place. in the
Lamarckian.
turtles. Well,
Could be.
I mean, maybe. Again, I would say it's
I
more
doubt it.
again natural selection.
Right, that's what it-
who's
well,
able to get
yeah.
the food, but that's pretty much where he started to see the differences in animals and come up with this idea for the theory of evolution. Survival of the fittest being those who were able
Whoever
to
can
adapt.
break their shell enough to get the fucking head up,
Well, no, breaking your shell would be more of a Lamarckian thing because you would pass along that.
you don't
breaking.
think it would be like rubbing it like over time from lifting your head up and like
you could do that, but that doesn't go in your DNA. That's
well,
not.
that's the whole point. That's what I'm trying to get at. If it's not in your DNA, do you pass it along?
No, that's the Lamarckian point of view. Like where the giraffes would stretch their neck. It's the same thing with the turtles. Turtles stretching their neck over time didn't cause the next generation.
They just adapted better. I mean, like I said, the ones that couldn't died
right.
off.
The ones on that island that actually had a hump that already existed there were able to already get the food. Those ones lived, and then whenever those ones lived and procreated, the next generation automatically had a disposition for that small little opening above their head.
Well, I had a disposition for it. I'm saying, but they didn't automatically have it though.
Right. Well, eventually the
the
enough
ones
of
that
them
didn't died out. That's what they
Right. So say we had 3 turtles in this crop of turtles this generation. 2 of them had it. The third one didn't have it because whatever mutation didn't happen on him or didn't pass along that particular gene. He died. The other 2 lived. They passed it along. Eventually, only the ones that had that, which was a requirement to live on an island, are passing it along and living.
And then there's also genetic drift, which
Which is how you get basically any other.
well, somehow how some of these even what we would call favorable traits disappear over time. Basically, and they equate it to my teacher, as I recall. You got a jar of marbles, and there's 50 blue and 50 red, and you just reach in there and randomly, which is basically what reproduction is. A lot of these traits. You reach in and you grab 10 marbles, and those are ones that reproduce. You may not have 5 and 5. You may have 6 and 4, 7 and 3.
Right.
And then the next time you grab it in, and you might have 7 blue and only 1, whatever. And
6,
eventually,
3, and 1 that's broken in half.
and then one of them just basically that trait eventually dies out over thousands of generations or whatever.
Oh, okay. So the
things just disappear.
The blue marbles are gone after
just
so many grabs
that's
out of
just
the thing.
drift.
So
Yeah,
then
it
you
has
can't
nothing to
get-
do with what we call evolution, technically, or adaptability.
Right.
It's just some things, and a lot of the other things are, what we know about genetics or what we find, like at Oldave Gorge, where the Leakeys found the Australopithecines or whatever the hell they found there, the hominids.
Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy, very good. That's where they found Lucy. Yeah, a lot of these things, like I always equated, like say there's only so many fossils around. Well, say you, say you're an anthropologist
I'm an anthropologist.
50,000. Okay, 50,000. Not you, him. 50,000 years from now, and you broke into and you found a locker room, and it was the wrestling room. Well, you would think that all wrestlers are like 5'8", built like trucks, more or less like me, or
Right, built like a
yes,
truck,
I
for
don't
reference.
want to. Yes, thank you.
Not at all.
Perfectly built specimens, or you went
Statue
you
of
broke
David in the flesh.
You found the basketball, the basketball court,
And they're all tall.
6'10" and thin, and have no muscle tone whatsoever.
Right.
So,
Well,
right?
you've got you just kind of touched on one of the biggest arguments against evolution is people think that where are all the individual missing links in
There are
between?
none. That doesn't mean anything. That's not evolution. That's,
well-
it's punctuated evolution. Huge changes took place. There is no. That was always what they were looking
And
for.
that's the
missing
point. There
link.
should be thousands of
No, there aren't.
gradual is
No,
what
it's
they
not
say.
gradual. It's punctuated evolution. That's what it means. They've changed very quickly. In fact, like I said, by punctuated evolution, they mean maybe tens of thousands of years go by and there's no changes, really, no discernible changes. And all of a sudden there's great changes very quickly, like over 3 or 4 generations.
So one large mutation is what you're saying.
Well, I would
Big
think
changes
See,
very
the
quickly.
problem I have with that
is
is
half the population would have to fucking die or something, depending on how many people could adapt and survive. Like you said, like the turtles.
right.
How many
That would
people,
have
how
to
many of
become
those
the
got-
new mitochondrial fucking
Exactly.
I don't know, but that's the mechanism, and I think it's been proven. That's why I call it punctuated evolution. And like I said,
I'd say it's a theory rather than a proven.
well, everything's
fact.
a theory.
Okay.
All right.
Let's just get
I
that
think
out there.
we've already
Smart guy.
established what a theory is.
Let's
Anything
think
that's
about-
not global warming is a theory.
I got a little bit of something to talk about. One of the smartest science guys ever, Louis Pasteur. Familiar with
yeah.
him and his theory of biogenesis?
Okay.
So what do you know about biogenesis?
It's like Sega Genesis.
Let me just interject here and say it was his belief that complex living things come only from other living things by means of reproduction. That is, that life does not spontaneously arrive.
Well, yeah,
spontaneously
they thought it
arrive.
was spontaneous. Right, that was
Yeah,
the
before
theory
that-
before him. Yeah, spontaneous generation.
Life would just pop up out of
Right.
nowhere, like maggots, for instance.
Right, and that's what they did the experiment in the meat, and all of a
Right.
sudden, like, well, okay, it
So
just appeared.
Apparently, maggots would just appear out of nowhere. They were going to happen.
Right.
But eventually, somebody decided, let's try the same experiment again inside of.
Is it airtight or something?
Yeah, airtight.
Yeah,
That's the best way to put it. An airtight bell or whatever. And then no maggots came out of there. And then eventually got to using cotton wool as a filter to keep anything from coming in. But that's basically what led Pasteur on his way to come up with pasteurization.
the germ theory.
Right,
Well,
germ
there's a
theory.
that there's actually
Perfect, yeah. Are you familiar with abiogenesis?
Abiogenesis.
Abiogenesis.
I think it's abiogenesis. Right?
Abiogenesis.
I've been mispronouncing it all these years.
You have.
All right.
It is the natural process by which
not
life
biologic.
has arisen from non-living
Right.
matter, such as simple organic compounds. While the details of this process are still unknown, the prevailing scientific hypothesis is that the transition from non-living to living entities was not a single event, but a gradual process of increasing complexity that involved molecular self-replication, self-assembly, autocatalysis, and the emergence of cell membranes. So the difference there being is that biogenesis states that all life has always come from another life.
Yeah.
So chicken and the egg really
Yeah.
fucks with that.
What spawned life at the beginning, right?
Well, biogenesis doesn't have an answer for that. Abiogenesis is fine with a couple fucking
Bubbling piles of primordial ooze.
primordial ooze basically mixed together some amino acids, some proteins,
Yeah,
and next
there
thing
you
you know,
go.
we've got life.
They're called.
Well, I mean, is that so hard to think though? Because it's organic material, right? Isn't that?
We
stuff-
don't know that's the truth though.
I didn't say that,
don't.
but I'm
That's
saying
the
that's
accepted-
that's a plausible theory though.
It's the most likely by our
What's
knowledge.
it? What
of
are they? Is
science.
that thiols or thiones or what are these basic that they're looking for other places and apparently they found them?
Oh, like on other planets or
Yeah,
whatnot?
yeah.
Dude, that's an interesting segue I want to talk about too on this episode is evolution on other planets.
How does
So,
that work? Yeah.
Would you guys agree with me that in nature the simplest path is almost always the taken path?
Yeah.
So
That's Occam's razor.
right,
Path
Occam's
of least
razor.
resistance, right?
So let's think about locomotion in an animal. The most simple way to get it is like a little flipping, like a flagellum, right? Basically, you would think.
Wouldn't you think it's just slithering basically, where you just kind of like a snake?
Past the point of being a single cell, multi, as soon as you have any kind of way that is not just slithering or blobbing around.
Depends on your environment, though. I mean, what if you're
That's a good point.
cloud
In the water.
creature?
Yeah, or in the
I don't know, water, or
It's
obviously.
a good- but still, even in the cloud, you're still
Okay.
going to have something similar to a flap of some sort to move you around. I would think, at least as the start of your evolution, you're not going to start out with air jets. My point is this:
Yeah.
shouldn't all life basically start out the same way and branch out based on environment?
No.
If indeed the laws of our physics permeate
true,
the
right?
entire, which they've pretty much proven.
So then
they've
at that point,
claimed the universe.
In my opinion, to take it far enough, then you can probably think about that legs and eyes are two things that are going to be pretty common on species
I
across
wouldn't
the
fuck
universe.
legs.
I don't know about that because they talk about other species that are able to see color, not see sounds, and what do they call it? There's
I don't-
actually a
I don't
name for
mean
that.
Synthesia.
Yeah, synesthesia, I think.
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
It's when you take acid. You can hear colors and see sounds.
I'll try that. True. But they say like Stevie Wonder can see music. He's
Right.
blind, but he sees music somehow.
A G is red.
Yeah, whatever it is. He's got some code. I guess it works because
See those fucking people with the echolocation? That's hardly
Oh, really?
related.
People
but
have
that's-
that?
Dude, yeah. You ever
Okay.
seen it? They're blind people that they do that.
Okay, like with bats, huh?
It's fucking gnarly.
Very, very similar.
Well, your other senses kind of take over for that. So I don't know if you really necessarily have to have, what we would consider an eye or.
Well, my whole point is that evolution is a simple path, and it should take you to just barely what you need to get by. Right? You're not going to immediately evolve like the eyeballs we have now would not immediately one hit evolve.
It's not going to involve.
So my point is, shouldn't
fleshy
life on
pulp.
other planets be at least somewhat familiar to us as long as they have a similar composition in atmosphere and gravity?
I don't know. Have we established there is like life on other planets?
We
or
have,
at
but I'm
least
saying
there's advanced life.
in the just taking the thought
multicellular?
process, to some. If we were to find something with multicellular life that has evolved to maybe a non-intelligent but at least a complex life, it would stand to reason to me that just by Occam's razor, it'd be very familiar, at least in makeup, to what we have.
Well, when we did the extraterrestrial show,
Sure.
all these things, all these beings that people supposedly see, they do have a certain commonality to them.
Well,
as I recall.
they're more humanoid.
Right, exactly.
I just mean even like they could be three-legged creatures, but they would have the same type of makeup where you have a body, you have limbs,
I
you
think that'd
have,
be
can you
totally
even
sensory
foreign.
organs.
How
I think
can you
they'd be
even
totally
assume that
foreign
it's
to
going to
us.
be? They're going to be like bone and muscle.
I'm not assuming
and
that.
tissue. I mean,
But
we
what I'm
don't even
assuming
know
is-
that they could be like fucking
What I'm assuming
a
is
tree.
the basis of locomotion in its simplest form is, you got to start at one simple little thing. And
Does a thing have to have locomotion though? Could it be to be
No, it doesn't
intelligent?
have to.
I would think it
but
would.
a cell generally, like all cells would start. You would think that they would have to move, or otherwise they're not going to find other cells to reproduce with.
I don't know.
I guess
you
need
shoot
asexual
spores out
reproduction.
or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways.
No,
of,
that's a good
or
point.
asexual reproduction.
I'm thinking animal life too, rather than
Yeah.
like,
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
A lot of
Plant life
there's a
and
lot of
shit.
animals that are asexual. They're
Fair enough.
They split apart, stuff like that. So
I'm pretty sure there is a whole field of science though that is basically
there's
extraterrestrial,
Yeah, I think whatever. Yeah, biology,
yeah.
astrobiology. I think it's called.
astrobiology. I think that's what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah,
Boy, they give degrees in anything these days, don't they?
I'd like to have a degree in that. I think
That'd be real tough to get.
that'd be a kind of an honorary thing.
Yeah,
We figure what you're
make
talking
college free so we can all be astrobiologists.
So let's get into some
Right,
questions
Bernie?
that kind of shit on evolution real quick. And the most famous,
Or try to dispel it. Yeah, the notion.
well, one of the hardest
Okay.
questions to answer if you believe in evolution is what came first, the chicken or the egg?
I'm going to go with the egg.
Because if you believe evolution is a gradual change, then the egg, the whole chicken and egg thing really fucks with you.
Yes.
You think chicken? Why is that, Armand?
Mammals don't have eggs, so that doesn't
Platypus.
apply. Yeah, platypus and the echidna, but they're the only two species.
That we know of that have ever
Komodo
who's to
dragon.
say they
That's
didn't exist
amphibian.
before that.
That's the only two mammals that lay eggs, I believe.
Komodo dragon's not a mammal.
Monotremes.
It's a reptile, I
Monotremes.
know.
Yeah, monotremes.
Monotremes, right.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I think it's kind of a stupid question, isn't it? I mean, what,
It is kind of a
what's
dumb
that got
question,
to do
but
with?
it's the spirit of the question. You know what I mean? It's
All right, what is the spirit of the question? I don't see what the logic or illogic of it is.
well, how can you have an animal be created by something that needs itself to be created? Like you can't create
You
an
have
egg.
a single-celled organism that divides into
turns
two
it-
cells.
You just
right.
get lucky and get an egg.
Sure.
I mean, that seems pretty.
One of them
that-
turns
you-
into an egg.
That sounds like creationism over
At the
evolution.
same time,
though.
one gets a penis and one gets a giant.
No. What you're basically saying though is that if you can jump right to an animal that creates an egg, I mean that's a huge jump. That's not a
No,
gradual.
it's not a huge. It's a gradual jump, but it starts from singular cells.
Well,
I
then it
mean,
wouldn't be the egg because the egg would have to evolve long before that. Like, so I guess you could have a chicken that eventually decides, or not decides, eventually mutates that its next
So
evolution
what would
or
be
next
the-
reproduction is done by egg.
okay, so what would be the upshot of that? That God created us, and there is no such thing as evolution.
Well, that would be the other side.
Yeah, that's the argument to this for sure.
I don't have an
buy
answer
that
to.
one. Yeah,
I don't necessarily
either.
buy that either. But again, the chicken or the egg thing
I don't
really.
think that disproves anything.
It doesn't
though.
disprove
It's an
anything.
interesting metaphysical, maybe a philosophical.
Exactly. There's no way to
question.
prove or disprove evolution. If we did, it wouldn't be a theory. It'd be either bullshit or law.
Oh, well, we have already gone over this. There is no such thing as proving a theory in science.
Well, I mean, what about
even
theory of gravity?
So what? You still can't prove it.
Yeah.
It can't. You can drop it a million times, but one of these times, maybe the damn thing will float. You have to accept it.
Maybe.
Gravity always works.
No, it doesn't always work.
Unless
Or in
acted upon by
space,
an
there's
outside
no such
force.
thing as gravity. Where is
Sure,
it?
there is. Gravity is is a force between any two objects, no matter how far away. There's a.
Not at the quantum level. How do you know that?
Well, that's fair. I don't know shit about quantum
Well,
mechanics.
that's what I'm
but
saying.
nobody does.
Well, everything breaks down at the quantum level. So maybe there's no such. That's why they can't unite gravity and the other field
Sure,
theory.
unified theory.
Right.
You guys remember the first time you heard about the split paper experiment or whatever the fuck they called that? Split fins?
Double split.
Double slit.
Motherfucker.
By
blew-
Mr. Young.
blew
Dr.
my
Young.
mind.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
weird. That's gnarly.
Well, that's quantum. Yeah,
that's gnarly fucking shit.
Quantum entanglement, all this stuff that defies what we would consider as, obviously physics.
Quantum versus the macro world is quite weird.
Well, and Einstein pretty much disproved as much. Newton really threw Newton on his ear.
Yep.
Relativity.
Let me ask you this, Armand. You familiar with the trilobite?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them.
All right.
Which is generally
Couple in our
regarded as one
hall.
of the first hard-bodied critters out there. Why have we not found anything in the fossil record as an ancestor to the trilobite?
Right. That's inexplicable. I
That's
don't know.
a weird one.
But maybe they haven't found it. Okay, they haven't found an ancestor to it. I don't know.
But
it's a
look at it
pretty
this
much
way.
unique creature.
But look how fucking common trilobite fossils have been.
Yeah, very.
That's my problem with it. As common as trilobites are, we have not found any kind of precursor.
So what's the argument against evolution there? That a trilobite just appeared out of from nothing else?
Well,
I don't know.
pretty much. I mean, where
Yeah.
could it have come from if it didn't have a precursor? If evolution is a change over time, there should be something in the fossil record predating that shows partially
I don't think any of us
hard
have,
body.
I don't think any of us have argued that this is a completely ironclad, entirely provable quote theory.
Sure.
I think the preponderance of the evidence is that in fact, I'm not against teaching creationism in classroom either.
Ooh,
I agree.
Really?
No, I'm with you.
Why? Because why?
Because why?
Why
If
not?
I were a teacher, if I were
Gonna lie to
teaching
a
this
kid?
stuff, I'd say, look, personally, if anybody asks me, and they probably would, I believe that there is evolution. That does not disprove the theory of God. In fact, to me,
Agree.
God creating the whole universe makes just as much sense as a goddamn Big Bang, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Everything coming from nothing.
Agreed. I'm
That's what I'm saying.
right there with
but
you.
that doesn't
I'm
mean
not.
there's no God if there's evolution. God may have willed evolution, but it's very hard to deny that this stuff is real, that man came from something, a precursor.
Right.
And
Man, we're right on the same thing here.
but I would say
Why don't you
people
kiss
in the
him?
Bible.
Have you ever heard
It's
of
your
Byron
brother.
Nelson? He wrote a book called After Its Kind. Came out in 1970.
What's his name?
Byron
I
Nelson.
thought he was a golfer.
There is a Byron Nelson that's a golfer. That's funny.
I've never read
Now,
that.
this guy, here's a quote from his book, actually.
Okay.
If throughout past ages life was actually drifting over into one continual stream from one form to another, it is to be expected that as many samples of the intermediate stages between species should be discovered in fossil condition as of the species themselves, all should be in a state of flux. With me so far? He's
I
basically saying,
disagree with that.
carrying on then. But these missing links are wanting. There are no fossils of creatures whose scales were changing into feathers or whose feet were changing into wings. No fossils of fish getting legs or of reptiles getting hair. The real task of geological evolutionists is not to find the missing link as if there were only one. The task is to find those thousands upon thousands of missing links that connect the many fossil species to one another.
The ones that had menial changes versus big
Right,
ones.
the thousands and
I don't
thousands.
think, but I don't think that's what evolution implies. I don't think that we're just gradual
Didn't we define?
trade.
mean,
what did we
that's-
define it as earlier in the show?
A common ancestor. That's all there is to it.
Evolution is literally just common ancestry.
Yeah.
No, what was the definition?
It was the gradual change over time due to mutation, basically, in survival of the fittest. Mutations that make an animal more adapt or a life form more adapted to its surroundings.
Yeah, but I think, all apparently, and I don't think even all species evolved from the same ancestor. There may have been, millions
interesting.
of ancestors.
So then why does everything have very similar DNA? Like everything has
Well,
DNA.
you said it yourself.
has to
There's a
come from one
certain
thing.
life, certain things in life that may be even universal, like even planet to planet. I don't know, but that DNA, that is the same
It
thing.
had to be the first one, right?
Yeah.
There had to be a first.
I mean, that's like saying, every painting. Well, every painting's the same. They all have paint, or every word's the same. They all use letters.
That's what I was saying to you earlier.
DNA is just the
do you
alphabet
accept
of life.
Do you accept that life on this planet was likely created from, originates from a single life?
I don't know. It sounds more and more like it's something from space. It came
Okay,
from space.
so that's fine. I'm not saying the origin of it where it came from space or came from amino acids and proteins on our planet.
The building blocks,
you
I think,
say
came from space.
Wherever that first one came from, wherever the building blocks came from, do you think that all life on this planet originates with a single?
No, I don't think so.
So
I
you
think
think
I
there
could
was-
have been many, seeds for lack of a better term.
I just wonder then why do we all share the common building block of life of DNA? You know what I mean? It's
I wouldn't
basically
say
the
it's
same.
DNA. I'd say more carbon is the common.
Yeah, well,
building block.
what's the most plentiful element in the universe?
There it is.
It's not about the element. It's about
Well,
the makeup
yes,
of how
it is.
genetic
It's
information
the
is
makeup
stored.
of
Hydrogen
your
makes
body.
up 90% of everything in this universe. Okay,
Sure.
so that's like saying, well, okay, it's all made of hydrogen. DNA makes up life. That's all there is to it.
But it's made of
Does it have
hydrogen.
to,
So
though?
hydrogen makes up life.
So
Well, there's hydrogen, carbon.
So that's a pretty big step to say that all life requires DNA in the same form as we know it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a hell of a.
I'm not saying it, but on Earth, it's conceivable that other forms of life just didn't make it. Maybe there are other forms. They didn't make it.
That's fair. Could be
There
fair.
were dinosaurs. Remember?
No,
Yeah, they're
the same
based
form
on
of life we're
DNA,
talking
of
about,
course.
yeah.
But I'm just saying maybe there were other silicon-based or whatever that aren't even carbon-based. But these,
It would stand to me, though, the reason that even silicon-based life would still need some sort of way to encode genetics,
yeah, I would agree with that.
be it DNA or some other
And maybe
analog.
it doesn't. For one of how about the multiverse? Maybe there are other universes where it can evolve without DNA.
I can't accept that, though. How can anything be created from something else without a map to make it? You know, I mean, there's got to be a way.
But the physical laws apply not only in our universe everywhere, but in every other universe. I don't think so.
So,
that's
Everett-
why a lot of universes don't even survive.
Yeah.
What about a mountain?
What are you talking about?
The mountain. What's it take to make a mountain?
Earthquakes, time.
No, a mountain. The crust
Plate
moving,
tectonics.
plate tectonics.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's not like a design. That just happens, and somebody made it made a mountain.
I don't think he's saying anything about design. What's your main?
I don't know. I'm trying to.
Well, I mean, if you're citing this article that we should be finding a million different,
I'm not saying we should. I just find it
intermediary
weird
forms.
that we don't at all times find a myriad of in betweens.
Because I think, like I said, I think
You think it's
evolution.
big steps?
Yeah, I don't think evolution is
So,
that a gradual. No,
you
it's
think-
big changes.
it should be from 4-finger to 1 generation later 5-finger, like because you can do that now. We have people now that had mutations like birth defects where you
Oh, yeah,
have a
we have
6th finger.
syndactyly, sure, see it all the time.
you would argue that a lot of the major advances in evolution are very similar to what we could consider birth defects now, or just complete changes in what we know normal
I think
physiology
change has
is.
gone very quickly.
I mean, that's an interesting.
That doesn't
theory. It
necessarily
could very
mean
well
they'd
be,
fossilize either. I don't know. I mean,
and that's another good point too.
they may be under.
There's conditions that have to arise for something to get fossilized.
Right.
Not every example of a species, like not all of us are going to walk outside.
Not every mosquito got
get
caught
buried.
in amber.
Exactly my point. Maybe you only
And
found
but that's not a
examples.
bad argument. I don't know. I mean, I don't have the answer for it, but I don't know if it.
Completely agree.
Sure, you can make that argument, but does it?
Well, here's another good one. Let's pass that one up. I'm just none of these are right or wrong. Again, we can't prove
Yeah.
that, but
These are the
this is
major
from
objections,
a
right?
Reddit comment. I was reading articles
Okay.
on Reddit or threads on Reddit, people talking about evolution, and this popped out to me. The eye doesn't work without all the components. So this obviously leads to some weird transitional specimens that we've never found. Why would a creature evolve a retina and not be able to use it and then pass on a useless body part? It wouldn't. It goes against every assumption in macroevolution. It goes on, irreducible complexity. Living organisms are fully functioning systems. They don't work without their parts functioning together as a whole. So what they're saying is there can't be any less complex versions of the eye. It couldn't have evolved that way because you wouldn't.
Yeah, there is.
I agree. This is bullshit, but I just found it to be an interesting argument that a lot of people use is the eye couldn't have evolved slowly into what it is now, which it totally did.
Why can't it?
That's just what they're saying because you wouldn't be able to evolve a retina. And then if it wasn't a complete eye, like why would he keep that retina around for the next generation?
Well,
Do you have an appendix?
Right. Well, that's something.
that's reverse.
That's a
reverse.
useless. I mean,
That's something that was used
that's a
before.
vestigial organ.
So this is what
Yes.
you were talking about before the show, how you
Yeah.
were saying, what is our next logical step of evolution?
Right.
Is there something in our body that exists already that is our next step of evolution that we don't even know how it
Yeah.
works?
Well,
That's the same
coccyx.
thing with the retina.
Coccyx
So-
is the vestigial or
The
tail.
tailbone, right.
That's all it is. Useless.
But it's not that. It's not what we're talking about. We're not talking
You're
about
talking about something totally different.
that
But
we've passed up evolutionary. We're talking about what could be like a piece of our brain that we don't know it exists yet, a small little like lobe inside of our brain that
Here you
could
go.
be a new
I got
organ.
this. I got this. 80,000 years ago, monkeys started getting bumps right here. Over time, they grew into a thumb. Just an example. So
Yeah,
is
but
there
he's saying that-
something on us today that we aren't recognizing as could be an evolutionary trait? Anything, you know?
The
What I mean,
next
I just
step.
thought it would have been it was a great question to try to entertain.
So, like, what if the sternum right now is evolving into a horn that comes off of
Yeah,
it?
so you
it's
can
for
kill people.
telepathy or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Communication.
But I get what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I've heard that argument about, the complexity of the eye could not be through evolution. A lot of people say that. That almost has to be divine in its creation.
That is the argument.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, you're right, because I watched this great video. It was done by Richard Dawkins. You know who that is?
Oh yeah, big one of the four big atheists. Yeah,
Right.
The four horsemen of the what do they call themselves?
I don't
There's four horsemen of the non-apocalypse or something.
Richard
They all-
Dawkins and
yeah.
fucking Neil deGrasse, and then
No. These guys are big time.
Before
yeah, he's a physicist.
It's the 70s.
These guys are like
70s?
scientific philosophers.
Right.
Yeah.
So he did a really cool. If you can find this video on the internet, let me see if I got a link to it here.
We're talking about Dawkins here.
Right. So Richard Dawkins video. Richard Dawkins demonstrates the evolution of the eye. That's what you'll search on YouTube. So he sets up a camera, basically pointing at a patch of white light. It's hard to explain. He basically just shows though that the first things that have an eye, so to speak, aren't an eye at all. They're a patch of tissue that is photosensitive. So they can tell that there's either brightness or darkness. That's how it starts out.
that's what the eye started as.
And after that, you start getting what they called an eye in a cup. He demonstrates it by basically putting a cup around it. But in an animal, it'd be more like a depression, to where your little photosensitive patch lies in a depression.
Right.
Now, what that gets you is a little bit of shadow. So you can start to discern from the little bit of the shadow you're getting over to that ridge is a direction.
Yes.
So eventually, carrying on with evolution, that little ridge grows more and more and more and more and more over the top of the depression to become a hole shining down onto your little photosensitive patch. And the more of that hole gets smaller and the more it comes up around like that, that animal gets a more of a directional view of where that light's coming from. So you could start to go towards light sources for probable food, or maybe even predator warnings or something like that. But then what eventually happens is, there's some species right now, actually, like octopuses, who have a similar eye to that, where there's seawater that comes in and out. Nautiluses have a similar pinhole eye. But what eventually happened was a piece of tissue grew over that as a protective piece, and it functioned as a rudimentary lens. It was where that first came around. And if you, again, watch this video, it's great. He does the whole thing right in front of you, showing you how the resolution increases just by changing the way the light passes through and hitting the same photoreceptive patch. Really good stuff.
Here again, like I said, none of this stuff to me disproves the theory. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with being, quote, skeptical. That's what every scientist should be.
Should be.
I mean, I am too. Believe me, I like this. I like these interrogatory questions about what's going on, because I want to learn more about it. And if there are, if there are gaps in it, why and how come we don't know this stuff, and how do we find out? That's
So something that got me when we were doing our research was metamorphosis, like butterflies and other things.
Moths,
Yeah. all that
How and
shit.
why?
Yeah, how and why, man? What is that? Is this evolution? What the fuck we got going on here? This is metamorphosis. What is that? I just don't. You know what I mean? How's that fit
Dude,
into
I
the
couldn't tell
picture?
you.
well, the big ones, the moths in England, that apparently changed their color because the ones that were darker survived. Before the Industrial Revolution, there were more white moths, and because of the Industrial Revolution and because of the soot coating everything,
Right.
the dark moths survived because they were better.
They're camouflage more or less.
camouflage better against their predators, and the white moths pretty much died out.
Well, what he's wanting
That's
to know
what they
is
cite, yeah.
at what point did insects split off to where they wouldn't have it's the same thing with eggs, though. If you think about the larva pupa stage,
yeah.
it's the same thing where an egg has everything on the inside of it. And it's,
Right.
It's your own little stages of life that form up through. It's just
Yeah,
that
but it doesn't
their
happen
form of life.
after,
Right, they're done before.
Right.
Right. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah,
the
man,
way
is
that-
it like going through puberty for them, Evander?
No,
Like
not
medical,
really. I guess they come out adults, but
caterpillar.
I guess it is kind of like
Is it
puberty.
larva, pupa, chrysalis, all those,
Depending on the species, yeah.
several
Yeah.
stages. But my question to you is, how harmful is it? When I brought up teaching creationism, and I'd like to bring some politics into it. Is it that harmful? Because I have a friend of mine that he's always saying, well, the governor of Kansas, for instance, I don't know, he doesn't believe in evolution. Do you really give a crap if
And?
you're yeah, right.
Hey, what's
I don't
his
really give
fiscal
a
policy?
crap.
You know what I mean? What's his fiscal
Now, if
policy?
he's
Yeah,
basing
right,
his fiscal
exactly. That's what
policy
right.
and he's making policy and legislature based on that stuff, then yeah, fuck him, get
Is he
him out.
going, I don't believe in evolution nor
Right.
abortion? Because then I'm getting a little carried away. You're talking about physical, you're talking about personal liberties versus.
Well, that's what the whole
ideology.
the whole Scopes trial was about in 1925. There was an actual law in Tennessee that you couldn't teach evolution. That's right. Was it the Burns? Something like that. The Burn.
Zach brings up a great point in the chat. He said, going back to evolution, before our very eyes, they have said that the apes are entering their own Stone Age.
Yeah, but that doesn't. That's not really.
I don't know if that proves evolution,
biological.
though.
Well,
evolution.
no, it's more social, but still, I think that's a good thing to come back to. Like, they're in the Stone Age now. They're using tools. How long is it going to be before
several
they need a
animals
fucking
do.
thumb? You know what I mean? To hold that hammer.
Well, that's the big. That was the big change, really. The opposable thumb is
Well,
what
that's what I'm saying.
separates you humans, really. That's what led to the cooking and stuff like that. Which
Well, if they're in the Stone Age
changed a
now, they're
lot.
definitely going to need things to carve the stone with.
It's the Butler Act. That's what I was thinking of. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
going back to what I'm saying, though. I mean, is it any? Do you care? Like let's say you made a girl. Okay, now that you're out dating again, I don't believe in evolution. Do you give a rat's ass? You're still just trying to get laid, right? I mean, really, is that a deal breaker for you?
Yeah, sure. Evolution ain't real, mother. Come here.
Well,
No,
right.
it's somebody's personal belief.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I hear this a lot from people that if you don't believe in evolution, you're a real dumbass. And global warming too, by the way. But
yeah.
evolution.
I think what the statement should be revised and say if you are a hardliner that doesn't believe in evolution, you're a dumbass.
Really, that would make you. That would
I would
really
say
make
so,
you say, "Well, you're
because
pretty
at this
stupid."
point you're getting really religious again, and by saying I'm sure evolution is fake. Like
Evolution's fake.
yeah, that's
If
just
you
a
believe in
religious.
evolution, you're believing in religion, is what I'm saying.
In evolution,
Do you have to be
I would say
stupid
believe
to
in
believe
either
in
way.
it? Well, do you have to be? That means you're stupid to believe in religion, then, because by extension.
Why are you
Yeah, but-
stupid to believe in religion?
Yeah,
Because
but
there's no
global
proof?
warming,
Well,
Armand,
because
is
you
a
don't believe in
religion.
evolution, then.
Armand, global warming is a religion because you believe it wholeheartedly without.
Absolutely, with no proof whatsoever. In fact, much to the contrary.
Well, there's been a little bit of there's been a little bit of evidence there.
Man-made,
Man-made.
not global
Yeah.
warming.
Well, somebody's gonna make it.
They.
Who's
Yeah,
writing
God.
fucking papers? God's not writing papers
yeah?
on global warming.
No,
I
because
guess
God's
I'm
not
really-
getting any grants.
I got some really good quotes from some celebrities actually.
Okay.
On
This will be
evolution.
good. Okay.
So Chuck Norris.
Oh,
Here's a little.
This will settle it once and for all.
it should.
I should
Okay.
probably preface everything here saying these are all people who are against evolution. Nobody
Really,
here,
Chuck Norris?
Because most people don't come out in support of evolution. That's just called being normal.
Yeah.
So it's the ones that
Support. I believe it. I'm not saying if I
Right,
support
you
it.
don't support evolution.
Armand
But you
supports
do support-
evolution, folks. You heard it here
But you
first.
do
support
support
global
the theory
warming.
that evolution is bullshit. You have
Yeah.
to support that.
Right. Well, okay. What does Chuck say?
So Chuck says it's cute. But here's what I really think about the theory of evolution. It's not real. It's not the way we got here. So far, so good. You're with him, right?
All right,
In fact, the life you see on this planet is really just a list of creatures God is allowed to live.
Ooh. No,
like
that's
it.
pretty. Wow.
Way to go,
I
Chuck.
would have thought he'd be a Buddhist or something. I mean,
not
I didn't
Chuck.
study all that Eastern, fighting.
Texas Ranger, man.
That's true. That's true. Walker, Texas Ranger.
In the eyes of a ranger.
You
Hey,
unsuspecting
that's
stranger.
so. Do you think
Never
Chuck's an
know
idiot?
the truth
So you
or
think
wrong
Chuck's
from
stupid?
right.
Do I think Chuck's stupid?
In the
Yeah.
eyes of
I can't fault him.
What is he doing?
No, I don't think Chuck's stupid for saying this, honestly.
Well, I mean, it
I
implies.
think
He'll kick your neck off, Armand.
Even at his age, he
I've
probably
seen
would.
him kick
Yeah.
a guy's neck completely out. The head was
All the
attached
way.
to the
Yeah.
attached to the body. It was crazy.
In fact, he burned it when he went through it so fast.
Carterized.
I bet he could
Carterized it.
unscrew a bottle cap with his foot.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You seen this thing people are doing now?
Yeah.
No.
It's the
Newest
MMA
challenge.
guys.
People are doing
seen the chainsaw.
spinning back kicks
No, they're trying
to
to.
do to flip a bottle. So you take a bottle and get the cap loosely on there, then you do a back kick and spin the cap off.
Yeah.
Jason Statham did a really good one where he did a fucking back kick, just smacked the lid, he goes, it flies off the
Get
bottle.
the fuck out of here, really?
Yeah.
Was
Anyway,
Conor McGregor doing that too? What a
I don't know, a lot of people are doing it. It's
I
fucking
gotta
dope.
look that up sometime soon.
Okay.
But I can't fault Chuck Norris. He doesn't know. He believes in God for one,
That's what
and
I'm
his
saying.
religion.
Right.
Just because.
Einstein believed in God too.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's another one. Ben Stein.
Where the fuck that get him?
Ben Stein.
I met him.
You met Ben
I was
Stein.
on his
You were on a show.
Yeah.
Darwinism asks us to believe that you can destroy genetic material through random mutation and natural selection, and yet end up with more genetic material. Yeah, I think he doesn't quite understand the whole thing there.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Sounds
that's
like a
true.
complete lack of
But,
understanding.
well, he's an economist. I mean,
True. Who did he work for? What paper was it? New Yorker? New York Post?
Probably not.
I think he worked
maybe,
for one of them.
Yeah, maybe one of them. But I think he taught at Pepperdine, or
Did he?
I think he was an economics teacher.
Ann Coulter. I know you love her.
Yeah, she's all right.
I would like evolution to join the roster of other discredited religions, like the cargo cult of the South Pacific.
Man, I've never heard of that one.
Makes
Okay.
sense. But Mike Huckabee, If anybody wants to believe that they are descendants of a primate, they're certainly welcome to do it.
Senator
Good.
Mike Huckabee?
But that's not evolution either.
Right.
But then again,
Descendants,
but
so
does
to
that
speak.
make them? Does that dismiss them from being president or governor
No.
of Arkansas? By
No,
that?
I just think it's funny to point these people out who believe this.
It does if they write law and legislative based on that belief.
Right, but I haven't heard anybody saying that. Goddamn it, let's take evolution out of the schools. I haven't heard say. If I hear that, I'm totally against that. But is there anything wrong with teaching it? Like I
Yes.
said, if I were a teacher, I'd say, look, that
Why not
preponderance
let
of
it-
evidence
Yeah, man, I don't
leads
get any
to
problem with
evolution. But creationists think this. And if a child asks me, what do you think, teacher? I say, well, I believe in evolution.
God did
but
it,
that doesn't.
baby.
But don't go home and tell your
How about this?
parents that
George
there's no
W.
God.
Bush says the jury is still out on evolution. So
Okay.
if W says it.
Yeah, he was like, I ain't answering this one yet. No way.
That's a great politician's answer.
Kirk Cameron, you guys all familiar with Kirk
Kirk Cameron?
The actor. He's a real big. Everybody knows he's
I
a real
remember
big
with the
Christian guy.
braces. Yeah.
From what was
What
it?
was that?
Family Ties.
No, one family.
God,
It was
Hogan
It's
family.
one with Alan Thicke.
Yeah,
Hogan family.
Growing Pains,
Growing
right?
Pains. Yeah, little Ben the
Growing
brother.
What was the other one? Was that Hogan family?
Hogan family and Mrs. Poole had Jason Bateman.
Yeah, he was in there, wasn't he?
Real early on his
Forgot
career.
about Jason
So
Bateman.
what does Kirk say?
So Kirk says-
chicks loved him, man.
If the anti-Christian agenda will say, "Here's your identity. You're an evolved amoeba who ought to just go and do whatever you want and don't let anybody tell you different."
Say that again.
It's written horrible, but it
Okay.
says if the I think it's an incomplete fucking quote, but
Okay.
if the anti-Christian agenda will say, "Here's your identity. You're an evolved amoeba who ought to just go do whatever you want and don't let anybody tell you different." So basically, what he's saying is, the liberals out there, the anti-Christians will say, you have no path. You're just an evolved amoeba. There is no
Right. Well, that
consequence.
Right, and that to me means that there is no morality.
Right,
Words.
is what
If
he's-
there- and I
he's
don't know if that
equating
denies
evolution
that
with
either.
anti-morality.
Yeah, right.
'Cause if
God
God
there is no
didn't create
God,
you-
why be
right.
good? You might as well kill and
That's exactly
steal
what he's
and
getting
covet thy neighbor's ass.
Yeah,
and
but
everything
you can't tie morality to religion or even a belief in God, because I don't wake up every day believing in God and I don't kill anyone. I don't walk around. You know what I mean? You can't tie morality to a belief.
That's your choice. You're doing that because he's
I'm not.
saying there's a certain universal morality that God made these laws, whereas opposed to
I mean,
man making
why do
laws.
I have to? I don't understand. I don't think that. Why do people think that God made the law? Why is it a law? My
Because of
morality
Moses and
tells
all
me I
that.
don't have to. Oh well, okay, never mind. Go ahead. If it's
Exodus,
just
I
because
believe, was
Moses.
the book. Well,
can't-
the
you
Ten
can't just-
Commandments. Did
Right.
you see the movie?
No.
Because Charlton Heston brought the laws down.
I thought this was a good one here. It's Ben Carson.
Okay, that's interesting.
This whole creation evolution controversy has been raging on really from the beginning. Because what's Satan's plan? To get rid of God, to disparage God, to mischaracterize God. So what he's saying is evolution is just a way to make people fucking go against something
Well,
God did.
think about it. Now, that to me is almost makes
a perfect
sense.
Christian argument.
If,
Yeah.
if there were a God and there were a Satan, Satan would arrange
I
for
thought- that's what
evolution to everything that we see to indicate there is no God, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
I
Don't
thought that
fall
was a
for it.
great quote by Ben Carson there.
Well, that guy's brilliant, man. Are you kidding?
Is he? I don't
He's a
much about
fucking
neurosurgeon, right?
neurologist, man.
Yeah,
He's the
he's
best-
a neurosurgeon. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
you don't
But
get to
did
be
you know
bold.
he thought that the pyramids were for?
For grain or something?
Yeah, I
That
thought
doesn't
they were
mean
grain
anything.
storage.
Listen, I know some doctors are great doctors. I know the first thing about history, but I'm telling you,
I
to
know
be a
one.
board-certified neurologist,
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Who's
no,
looking
he's
at
very
it?
smart.
yeah.
How about Kurt Schilling says, why don't apes still evolve into humans if that was the path? Why doesn't any creature evolve into another creature entirely if we all came from one organism? So his problem with it is why don't we see evolution on a
His
daily
problem is that he
basis?
doesn't understand it.
Yeah, he thinks it happens on the reg. Like, I don't know. You guys know what he's saying. It's fucking.
But you guys would agree that everybody that it seems like that disagrees with evolution, that the point that basically what underscores their opinion is they're probably believing God, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to make that point about global warming. The people that really believe in it, truly believe that it's man-made global warming, are usually Marxists, globalists, and statists.
Fucking commies.
Because they think the only thing that's going to solve this is by like some universal government.
I was going to say, you're talking
telling
one
it-
world government.
Right,
here.
exactly. That's the problem I have with global at its base. That's the
Is
problem.
you think it's just a guise for the start of
exactly,
NWO.
exactly, because we hate
This
capitalism.
fucking guy he's our listener base.
That's a long con. Well, I mean,
Well, it is. That's what I'm saying. But to deny science, you're going to have some kind of alternative science, and that's your science.
Well, yeah.
In the example of evolution, it's religion. In the example of global warming, it's socialism or globalism. That's the only thing. It's not like they say, listen, we got to have totally nuclear power over the next 10 years. Well, that would be a viable, right? That actually does something about it.
Yeah.
Do you hear anybody saying that?
No,
No, we have to have more carbon taxes. The rich countries have to give to the poor countries, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, because there's still more oil to sell.
No, that's not what they say. I'm talking about the global warming people. They don't want to sell more oil. Stop using oil. Stop using coal.
What I'm saying is there's still more oil to sell, so we can't quit using it yet. Come on, we got to make money.
Yeah, why bother to stop selling the oil?
Because it's
oil
cheap.
So.
It's a hell of a lot cheaper than solar.
It's like diamonds. It's only as cheap as we say it is.
That's true.
No, that's incredible. See, now that's a total misconception about economics. That's as bad as
Why?
evolution.
You don't
Why?
think they can just start making more oil? Like they could pump, like right now they can increase production and drop
Sure.
pricing.
Of course
What
they
I'm
can.
saying is scarcity is false. There
is no scarcity.
There is a finite supply of it.
That's why the price has gone down. It's not
But
going
my point
up.
is, the only reason they can make it expensive, it's like diamonds in that regard. They can just slow down production.
They're
And,
setting the market value.
Yeah, but people don't need that. See, that's price. You don't understand what price inelasticity is.
Apparently not.
People can. Okay, elasticity means you got to have food. You got to have oil. Okay, they could raise it as high as they want. That means it's price inelastic. Diamonds is not that way. I don't need it.
That's fair. That's fair.
You
It's
don't
not
need
like
a
some-
diamond, right?
Fair.
So they can't raise it to ad infinitum because you're gonna say, "Fuck it."
They can raise it to whatever the market will bear.
Exactly.
Right.
Oil's not like that. It's price inelastic.
If there was
you have
something,
to have it.
if there was some other type of oil alternative, then maybe
Well, there
we
would
could see
be.
that,
Well, if
but-
solar were the same price,
Or even
we'd all
if,
be
like-
using solar.
or if biofuels
not.
were more
Whatever.
readily available and useful.
Anything. It's not. Unfortunately, wind is not. It's 4 times as expensive. Ask the Germans. That's why we don't use it.
Well, that's-
So
I mean,
we got any final thoughts on this the evolution thing today?
yeah, I think it's definitely true, but I don't think it's perfected yet. What excuse me, what they have out and what they know, what we know as a
Yeah, but I think very little of science we know is perfected. Unfortunately.
well, yeah, it's not. No, it's
We
not.
don't know if
we're
butter-
best
butter
guessing. Man.
margin's
That's
better
what
for
it
you,
is.
right.
Is best fucking guess. That's
Okay,
all
but
science
let
is.
me
Is
ask
best
you,
guess.
what do you think the state? Because I don't really hear, like even in the debates or whatever, I don't remember hearing anybody talking about Democrat or Republican talking about. I'm talking about what's the state of the argument. The actual. It's not like abortion and these hot button issues,
Right.
right? I mean, we're not on the streets arguing about is there evolution or
no,
God.
it's because it's not it's not like very.
So it's not that
pressing.
important, right?
Yeah,
Cubstar says one word here. I not read this whole thing. He comes up with one word here that makes me a whole other argument on evolution.
Okay.
The coelacanth.
What the hell's
Oh,
that?
coelacanth. Yeah, well, they thought it was. Well, they thought it was
extinct for
extinct.
millions and
then they
millions
found
of
in
years.
the 30s. They found one somewhere in Africa or was it in a lake
Almost
somewhere.
no change
Yeah.
from millions of year old
From
fossils.
fossils
Right.
to that.
But apparently cockroaches haven't evolved much either
Yeah,
over like
well,
100
what about
million
alligators,
years.
man? Crocodiles. They don't fucking evolve very much. That's the same.
They've
that's
evolved a fair amount.
A little bit.
Okay.
But
whatever.
my point is, why is evolution? I guess you don't evolve if you don't need to.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. I don't.
That's a good question. Does a species evolve if it doesn't need to?
No. Why
You're
would
perfectly suited for your habitat. How do then?
it? No, that's perfectly suited for your habitat in comparison to other species in the same habitat.
Right. Yeah. Well, 99% of the species that roam the earth are extinct.
I mean, you
We
can
all
argue
know
that.
that,
Why would
okay?
humans evolve with the intelligence we have if it's not necessarily needed to survive in our environment?
It
It's
was
not.
necessary though.
I mean,
Well, it wasn't necessary to survive in the
You had to
environment.
be
We
smart enough
adapted.
you had to be smart enough to know what if you're out at night, you got to watch for the little bright lights for a panther's eyes. You know what I mean? You had to be able to pick things out to survive.
Well, we're more visual. I mean, that's why dogs and certain species have better, the nose or olfactory
No, I don't-
smell.
I'm not following.
Smell. Well, some smell. I mean, they smell their prey or whatever. We don't.
Yeah.
We're more visual. We come
Yes.
from the trees.
Okay, right.
So that's how we got, supposedly. But I'm just. It just doesn't seem like such a hot button issue anymore.
No, it's
I
really
thought when I was in
not.
high school, it was a big argument. A lot of arguing.
I mean,
politicians
honestly-
were arguing about it.
Well, in the
Religious
40s
people.
when you were in high school, Armand, I bet evolution was a hot button
the
topic.
20s.
Nice.
I was at the Scopes trial.
all right, guys. Well, let's put a button on this. We'll come back a little bit more on the after show, talk a little bit more about evolution. Everybody on the live chat today, you've only got a few more minutes to get your voicemails in. Get me some emails, info at Surreal Talk Podcast. You can find our voicemail widget on surrealtalkpodcast.com. Be sure to check out all of our social media. Just Google us at Surreal Talk Podcast. And on top of that, I got to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about our partnership we've been having with Pure Ratios.
Yes, the ratios that they provide, fucking pure.
Pure and shit.
Yeah.
Now, Pure Ratios is a company that's been working with us to get the word out about their product. They're a CBD company. If you're not familiar with CBD, It is one of the non-psychoactive chemicals in marijuana cannabis.
Yes.
While THC gets you high, CBD is strictly more like used for medical reasons. People use it for any type of ailments, from anxiety to inflammation to directly on abrasions, such as what Armand did. He said he had a lot of pain relief from it. To all sorts of different uses for CBD. So head over to pureratio.cbd.com. They got a lot of information about the uses. They've got every different type of product you can think of, from edibles. We're talking lozenges to chocolates to
topical
honey,
inhalants.
They have inhalants. Oh, they do. They have the vape pens. They've got lotions. They've got tropical salves.
Yeah, it's
lip
all of it.
balm. They probably got fucking eye drops. I don't think I saw those, but
CBD condoms, I think.
CBD lubricated condoms.
What else is there?
I don't know.
CBD. I don't know. I got nothing, man. Bread.
Well,
banana bread.
You're a little far off topic here. Pure Ratios was founded by two natural health practitioners with over 45 years of combined hands-on experience, I guess, in natural health.
Yeah.
Their origins are definitely rooted in natural medicine, combining modern science, research, and laboratory testing. The crew at Pure Ratios delivers safe and therapeutic cannabis products. Pure Ratios ships to every state in the union legally, and all products contain less than 0.3% THC, which is what keeps them legal. That THC is a bad thing as far as the government's concerned.
Really?
Yeah, head over to pureratio.cbd.com to learn more. Check out their gigantic selection of products. And while you're there, make sure you use our code if you end up buying anything. Use the code Surreal420 at checkout. That'll give you 20% off this order and every order you make in the future, I guess, for the time being. I don't know, they might shut that code off someday. But for now, fuck yeah, Pure Ratio, Surreal420. Get your stuff there today. Other than that, we'll see you guys here in about 5-10 minutes on the after show.
10, yeah.
Or on the next download. And like Eric said, next week we're going to be off more than likely. We might make it in, depending. We'll try. Probably not. Otherwise, we'll see you guys here.
If we do, it'll be Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, for those of you who don't listen to the after show, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
All right, get you then, see it. All right, guys, on the YouTube, we'll be back here in about 5 minutes. Eric's going to go get his smoke on. We're going to get prepared. Get me your voicemails, people. I need your voicemails. I'd like to hear from you. Eric would like to hear from you. Can we get a giant fuck you Armand going today?
I want to talk to you.
If everybody out there on chat right now would just go to our website and give me a fuck you Armand, it'd be fucking hilarious to have 20 fuck you Armands for the next episode. Let's see if we can make that happen. Otherwise, you disappoint me greatly. Love you all.
I mean, I'll get with and get behind the fuck you Armands. Let's
do that. That'd be great.
Let's curtail the fuck you Everetts for 1 week.
I'm going to go out there and tell everybody out there.
Leave a voicemail
that says fuck you Armand.
Let's do it right now.
All right. We'll catch you guys here in a few. See you in a minute. Bye.